Dan here, Max SPL Videos, and today I want to talk about the CAD M179. Alright, so full disclosure, I am a CAD dealer, so obvious bias, I haven't been paid to do this or anything like that, but I do sell these from time to time, so take anything with a grain of salt. But I bought this about a decade ago, long before I owned my own store, and I've been extremely happy with it, and I want to kind of get into why. So the CAD M179 is incredibly versatile, and in my opinion is one of the best first condenser microphones anybody who's getting into recording can get. Why? Well, for a few reasons. One, the diaphragm on here, this is technically a large diaphragm condenser, but it's a fairly small microphone and a fairly small diaphragm, which ends up allowing it to be used in situations where normally I might reach for, say, a small diaphragm condenser microphone. So it kind of plays double duty, right? A lot of people think, okay, so I need a couple dynamic mics, I need a couple pencil condensers, and then I need a large diaphragm condenser. This, you start with, say, 2 of these and a couple dynamic mics. You can do a 4 mic setup on a drum kit. You can do a 2 mic stereo pair on, say, an acoustic guitar. You can do a mono acoustic guitar with this at the 12th fret. It sounds great for that. And because of the variable pickup pattern that's installed on here, if you have a pair of these, you can really start to experiment on things like doing a blum line. You can, take a dynamic mic with it and do mid-side and things like that. It just really opens up some doors in terms of experimentation when you're getting started, because then you're not just mic in front of it, see how it sounds. You can really start trying some things out. Now, these do work really, really well as drum overheads. And because they have a pad on them, once you outgrow them, right, you might never outgrow them, but if you buy some high-end overhead microphones, like I own some that each of them alone are worth probably 4 or 5 times what this mic is, this still has a place in your arsenal because it makes an amazing tom mic, particularly the low tom, but it works really, really well on the rack toms too. So you flip the pad on, you put it right in there between the drums and stuff, and it just really works. Now, I've got some of these guys here. These are the CAD D89s. These are a dynamic instrument microphone. They work really well on toms. But because they're more of that stick style mic, you go to put them in and you've got this long microphone and then has a cable sticking out the back. And it starts to get a little tricky to get all your cables and stuff run without getting in the way of any of the cymbals and without putting them in a spot that a drummer might hit, especially for more inexperienced drummers. This, you set it next to the drum, and the drummer's only seeing like that much of it. All the cables are down below. Doesn't get in the way of the cymbals. You can set it to cardioid or hypercardioid, and you're off to the races. They're also not ridiculously expensive, so if they get hit by a drumstick, it's not the end of the world. They're also very, very durable. I've had this thing dropped and hit by stuff, and it's still chugging away just fine. So overall, it's just a very, very good first microphone. I just really like this microphone, and I highly recommend it. There are a ton of cheaper options out there, and some of them might be great, I've seen some pretty good reviews out there for some fairly inexpensive microphones. What you'll often see with inexpensive condenser microphones is this high frequency sizzle that when you hear it in the store or you hear it isolated on a single audio track, it sounds pretty good. And it really does work, especially, you know, if you're Twitch streaming and stuff and you're using a $50 condenser, chances are it's not going to be too much of an issue. But once you, say, are doing multi-track recording and you're stacking track after track after track after track, and you have that high frequency bump on a bunch of microphones, you start to have this harsh frequency ranges really start to come out, and it adds extra work. I've recorded double bass with it, I've recorded piano with it, I've recorded guitar with it. You can put it in front of a guitar amp, you can put it in the middle of a room during a jam session, set it to Omni, hear your jam afterwards, right? It's got tons of options without much for limitations, and just everything about it. It feels quality, which helps. It has a very nice shock mount. It does come with a secondary little mount here that's really nice for when you're doing those toms, and a ridiculous case. I don't know if they've changed this since I bought it, but like, come on guys, do we really need that much foam in the top? This could have been half of this size. This side here could just be a lid with a thin piece of foam. I have a suspicion that they were building these boxes for something else already and just use them too. That's my only real criticism of it. It's just that the case is just ridiculous. I've got cases for, you know, $1,500 mics that don't have this ridiculous of a case for it. Protects it really well. I've had it for a decade. Case is scuffed. It's got, I think the glue's coming off of here. I need to re-glue it, but, you know, decade of use, no complaints. So if you're in the market for your first condenser microphone, put this on your short list. Whether you've been considering some pencil condensers or you're considering some large diaphragm condensers, this fits into this nice little bubble. From what I've seen in the US, it's going for about the $200 mark, and in Canada, about the $300 mark. Pretty darn good for what I would consider to be a professional level microphone. You can get, you know, a $40 USB mic on Amazon and stuff, but this is going to definitely be a step up. And because it has that flat frequency response, it just... Anyway, all right. So that is the M179 from CAD. Like I said, you know, I am a CAD dealer, so take that with a grain of salt, but I am a big fan of this microphone and highly recommend it. Let me know. Do you have one of these? Do you love it? Are you in the market for an inexpensive microphone? Right? And are you considering this one, or are you considering it now? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Call to arms and blah, blah, blah.